You're welcome, Sam.
Thank you very much.
This is G Connect today, and we're excited to have you for the purpose of informing our audience. May you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Godfrey Ajayi Sunday. I'm an unrepentant entrepreneur. I've been into business for some time. I manages a couple of businesses, and I'm happy to do that.
Wonderful. So let's start with the rudiments of entrepreneurship. People have this understanding that you start a business by deploying your passion. So can you tell us what are your passions and what are the lessons that you've been able to learn in terms of deploying your passion into your business?
Okay, so talking about passion, talking about how you have been able to deploy those passion. For me, as a person, I am moved by the environment I find myself. I look at the needs to be created. I'll use an example to explain to you. For example, those who are in the water business, for example. Water business in those days starts by nylon water.
Yeah.
Then it used to be 1 naira, 5 naira in those days. Gradually, it graduated into what they call pure water. Yeah. It graduated into pure water.
Okay.
The value was added. Now, it moved into bottled water. And of course, what are we talking about? We're talking about the same water.
Yes.
Now, people are talking about alkaline water. So once you find yourself in an environment, you look at the needs available in those environments. That will now ginger your passion towards doing what you need to do. So, and again, of course, environment is quite challenging. So once you find yourself in that, then you use, of course, the value chain approach to be able to determine what you want to do and how to go about it.
So it is really much about value addition, because the example you gave from the nylon water, the sachet water, the pure water, the bottled water, and the alkaline water. Let us find out from you. Is there a need for specialization for the purpose of the entrepreneurs coming into entrepreneurship space, as you speak? Is there a need for specialization?
Yeah, in answering that, I will always tell you, you have to start with a focus in mind. Okay? The need to specialize comes up with the power of focus. This is what I want to do, and this is how I will do it. Then going forward, you know what you want to do. That can also now be deployed, because again, when you find yourself in a country, that is a developing country.
Yes.
What that means is that there are a lot of things to be developed.
That's true.
So it's good you specialize, but again, to also now survive in an economy like this, you need to do so many things. It's called multiple stream of income.
Yeah.
But again, starting from the beginning, there's a need for you to specialize.
Wonderful. I think I like the word when you say, when you find yourself in a developing country, it means you have to develop something. And that is a mindset that entrepreneurs have. And I think that is a mindset you have, because today we are aware that you are a group managing director. So can you tell us, what does it take to be a group managing director, and what are the challenges?
Okay, so I didn't start with being a group managing director. I think based on the things that we were doing, it's what brought about idea of becoming a group managing director. So, and for you to, of course, become a group managing director means that you must have a group of companies. Dangote today didn't start with, it didn't start being a group. It started from a particular type
Dangote
of
cement.
From cement. You now move into other consumables based on the needs that I mentioned to you earlier. So for me, what happened generally was that I had passion for training. Okay, that was how it all started. And the beauty about training is that as you train, you read about materials, then you develop ideas. Then I remember at a particular occasion, we had to write a business plan for a particular state government on the rice project, because that state has enormous potential about rice. And I tell you, that state could produce all the rice that we eat in West Africa. So when we develop the business plan for them, then the question now arose, who is going to manage? So that's how it all started. So from training, it got to management. Then you now have to get to the point where you have to do it yourself. So from there, doing one enterprise, from training to consultancy to rice projects, then that's how it all started for us being a group of companies.
So what are the challenges so far, from training, from business management, to manufacturing? You seem to cut across various sectors of the economy. What are the challenges that you have discovered so far?
Yeah, so many challenges, but again, a lot of people will tell you that finance is
number one problem.
But I would beg to disagree. I always tell you that if you're a startup,
yes,
you can say that finance is a problem. Okay? But if you grow in business, you realize that finance is the least of a problem. Every business starts with an idea. Okay?
Yeah.
So once you get that idea, and of course I will now say at this point in time that the most important, the most critical challenge is that of the human resource. Because everything about the organization that you're doing is built around the human being that will walk around that area. So today, clearly I will tell you, because a lot of people will tell you that the graduates you have around here, they are not well trained to be able to carry on.
They're not employable.
They're not employed. That's the language that they use. I tell you that's the major problem at the end of the day. Finance can be there, but again, there are a lot of ways you can source for finance. Okay? You can use other people's money, OPM. Okay? You can use crowdfunding. So there are a couple of other innovations that you can use now. And of course, if you have an idea, people will put in their money. But again, I think, to me, today I can conclude that human resource is a major problem.
Major problem.
Yeah.
Now, that is a kind of an irony, because in Nigeria, we seem to have this assumption that we are very innovative people, we are very enterprising people. How is it that our graduates, our youth are unemployable, and what could be the solution for businesses like yours?
Yeah, the reason why they mostly say that our graduates are unemployable, I think it has to do with the curriculum that we're using. Today, we are like mostly paper-based. They want to see that you have a first class.
Yes.
They want to see that you have a 2-1. Okay, but in the business environment, that is important. But again, the skill that you possess, I think, is more important. Looking at the rice value chain, which we have tried to specialize in, and have done quite a bit, and we have spoken to people across the world. I mean, there was a time we were supposed to build a mega rice mill for one of our clients, and we had to fly in some expatriates from China. Guess what? These guys were like 19, 20, 21 years old.
Wow.
And I now ask myself, a 21-year-old guy is just graduating with theoretical knowledge. So I think basically we need to, be able to skill our curriculum a bit, to have a bit of entrepreneurship, and that's why what Lagos State government is doing now. They're diversifying their curriculum to bring in skill acquisition, which is also important.
Okay, let's look a bit into the rice production.
Okay.
Of course, the war in Ukraine, the global challenges makes it very opportunistic for the issue of self-sufficiency in food production to be at the top of the burner for countries like Nigeria. How has it been in terms of assessing, the resources that you need to expound your production, to package and make it a bit more competitive?
Okay.
How has it been?
Yeah, the rice is a very interesting commodity. I tell a bit of history about the rice. You remember in those days, rice was eaten once in a year. Okay, that's during Christmas Day. So today, rice has graduated from once in a year to move to once every month when people receive their salary. Okay, so now what we are talking about now, we're talking about a situation where people eat rice every day. Our women and children eat rice
every day,
like twice a day.
Yes.
Okay, if you interact closely with your wife, I mean, eating rice twice a day
It's not a problem.
It's not a problem to her. So if you look at a commodity like that, and you look at a population of Nigeria, we're saying with the last World Bank report, over 200 million. So this is about 200 million people having to eat that kind of commodity. So if you have that kind of scenario, you're in business.
Yeah.
You're in business definitely. So what do? How do we get rice to be on the table, well packaged and well branded? So you start by looking at the raw material, which is called paddy. Okay, so when we went into rice production, it started from the point where then farmers used to do 1.5 metric tons per hectare. So through working with international organizations like the GIZ, Community African Rice Initiative, we're able to now move rice production from 1.5 to 2.53 metric tons. So that means we have added a bit of productivity into that. So the challenge we're trying to solve at that end is how do we make paddy available for the rice mill in itself now?
Yes.
Okay, so and there are a couple of ways in which you can use to do that. I mean, a lot of people come to us, business advisory, they want to buy large hectares of land to be able to do farm. I say that is not necessary. So if you understand what is called an outgrower scheme, you can deploy that. Okay, what does that mean? It means that you can work with farmers in two ways.
Okay.
Either you acquire the land, which we highly discourage, or you work with the farmers on their existing land. Okay, they already have the land, they know the topography, they know the nutritional content, they know everything about that land. So simply just go in and give them what they will require. Fertilizer, they will need the agrochemicals, they will need the seed. They use their labor and their land to produce for you. So at harvest time, which is mostly around 3 to 4 months, you know, you have your rice ready. So you now sit down with him. I gave you 200,000 worth of inputs.
Yeah.
So give me paddy what that amount. So that the farmer gives you that. And he still has excess because a bit of productivity has been added now. So that excess he has now, then he can take some for his own personal consumption. And he can also now decide to say, okay, good, you did me well, I want to sell to you. That's the first offer to sell to you before he sells to any other person.
Yeah.
So with that, you now have your raw material in place. Then of course, you now talk about machineries. Of course, there's a lot of small-scale machines these days that you can use. I mean, it's no longer that kind of big technology where you have to acquire large hectares of land. So once you have a simple line of a milling plant, you have a simple line of a destoner, you have a color sorter, then you have your branding in place. Then I tell you, within 4 months, rice is in the market.
Wow.
And you know, and that's why people like the rice that we produce now, Seedfest rice, because Seedfest rice is really fresh. Okay, it's rice under cultivation, and within 4 months you can have your rice fresh. It's not like those rice that you import that stays long term in the warehouse, long term in the sea. So within 4 months and at production, within 48 hours, you have a fresh rice that you are eating
From Seedfest.
from Seedfest.
Now, before I will come back to the issue of you said a very strong you made a very strong statement that you discourage acquisition of land, for rice farming. But I want us to look at Seedfest rice. I understand that not too long ago the government did what is called the rice pyramid, but we have not really seen the impact, because if we had a rice pyramid, it is expected that the price of rice in the market should have been able to drop. So what are the key competitive advantage for Seedfest rice in the market?
Okay, as a businessman, as much as possible, try to avoid try to bring government's influence into your business if you really want to go far. Because again, the way government is set up in Africa, there's a book I read, The Audacity of Hope by Obama. He said that from the time he was born till the time before he became president, that he has seen government make promises and that he has never seen any government solve a particular problem. So as an entrepreneur that you want to go far, you can just put your eye on the ground to watch out for policy. But again, if you want to really move forward, then you have to just pin down and do it yourself, the way people like Dangote is doing it. I mean, just move at your speed. It will get to a point where the government will need to come and meet you at that. But if you want to you want to move on with the government speed, you may not really go far, because again, the kind of government that will run now, every 4 years there have to be elections, and the delegate wahala and all this problem.
Yes.
So we try as much as possible to avoid so much about working with government. Okay, they are important. They are supposed to provide welfare for the people. So if they need to buy our rice to be able to empower the people that need it, we are very, very much available to make that.
Wonderful. So as we speak, Seedfest, what is the possible market share for Seedfest? What is the vision for Seedfest? What market is it serving? A state market? Is it serving a regional market? Is it serving a national market? Can people buy Seedfest from across the country or across the continent? What is the vision for Seedfest?
Yeah, what we have right now is still a very small mill. We have 20 tons per day, 2 lines. So what that can put in the market is about 12,000 metric tons in a year. And we're talking about a situation where you require about 3 million tons. Okay, so our rice is unique in the sense that it is fresh. It is very, very tasty. Okay, and it's devoid of stone. Okay, so as of today, we're deploying both physical and online to be able to sell our rice. Okay, I can tell you today, if factory is in FCT, every supermarket that you go into in FCT today, you will find our rice there. Then of course,
the Seedfest rice.
Yeah, the Seedfest rice. Of course, at the comfort of your home, you can go to the internet. We're making 1 or 2 partnerships right now to be able to have that product online. That means anywhere in the world you need to eat that rice, then you can just place an order. You have it delivered to you. If it's in FCT, within 24 hours it's delivered to you. If you need it across the nation, within 48 hours, maximum 72 hours, you have your rice on your table. And I'll tell you something, the rice is very, very nutritious.
It's nutritious. That is the point I wanted to come back to. You mentioned that the Seedfest rice is fresh on the table. It's not going to be like, or it's not going to be stored for so many years or taken across the sea. What do you intend to portray, when you say things like that, and in addition to when you say it's nutritious? What is the nutritional value of Seedfest different from the ones that is being imported?
Yeah, today you talk about cancerous cells. You talk about a situation where the mode of storage of rice could get it affected with some carcinogenic materials that you may not want to experience, especially at old age. So one thing stands out for us: our rice will not stay beyond 6 months for you to get it and eat it. Okay, so what that means is that the nutritional value are still very high at that point in time. I mean, you need to eat this rice. Okay, when I brought the first set of production to the house, my wife had to abandon every other rice that we bought and say, look, this is the one that we are going to be eating now. So in terms of nutritional content, is at its highest ebb. This rice is fresh. Okay, I mean, you can have a rice. For you to farm rice, actually, within 90 days you have it delivered. Okay, so within that 3 months to 4 months, you have that rice. The nutritional content is still very, very much intact, and it's not, there are no interference of external storage. And of course, we don't use chemical to store our rice. So those are the things that stands out our rice. It's nutritious, it's very, very fresh. Okay, and there is no stone in our rice.
That is interesting. So let's come back to the issue of the land. For the purpose of for the benefit of our viewers that are intending to go into rice farming. You said you will not advise someone to go into the acquisition of land. Why would you say anything like that?
Yeah. In terms of production, anytime when you are looking at value chain approach, and anytime you hear the word production, what they are telling you is the art of farming, which is what our parents are doing. And we're so blessed in Africa that today if you live in a high-rising building, if you find a small soil on the high-rising building, you will find maize growing there. So that means that our farmers, once rain start falling, then they go into production. So now, rice in itself is not a commercial crop like cocoa, like coffee. So you don't actually have to do that by acquiring large hectares of land. When the farmers already have that, they know how to secure that land, they know how to farm it. So what you actually need to do with them is to provide them with technology. Okay? So if you want to do 1,000 hectares, for example, so you move into a rice producing community and register about 1,000 farmers. They will show you their farm. You through GPS technology, you can measure out that farm, and from anywhere in the world, you can monitor the progress in that farm. So if you're going to if you want to do 1,000 hectares now, you know what it involves for you to buy the land, get the CFO, protect the land. I mean, that cost is enough for you to be in business. So there's no need for you to just have to avoid that cost. Okay? Yeah. Avoiding that cost, work with the farmer, and you have what is called a win-win situation. The farmer is providing the land, is providing his labor. You are now using capital, the capital you have to use to buy land, to provide him with the fertilizer, with the agrochemical, and with the seed. Two people who wants to die meet somebody who wants to kill them. Makes it there to be very easy.
Okay, that is an interesting one. But let's come to this. I remember there was a time I heard about something because what I've just said seems to focus more on the entrepreneur. And we know that once an entrepreneur is able to set up such a structure, there are also problems from the side of the owners of the farm. In terms of, okay, you are giving us input, what quantity of input you are giving to them, and by the time it's time for harvest, are you sure that they will be able to sell to you and all that? So I had something, I think I heard it from you some time ago. I read one of your blog talking about the warehouse receipt system. How is that, going to play in this kind of a scenario?
Yeah, there's something that is foolproof. In what I described to you, that is what is called side selling. Okay? And that's why you have to understand the system of production. Like I mentioned earlier, it takes about 3 months for you to plant your rice and to harvest it. Okay? So what you will now try to do a bit again is to do what is called cluster farming. Okay? So the farmers you are getting are in the same cluster. They are planting at the same time. That means they are going to harvest at the same time. So when they are about to harvest, that's why you hit the ground with your technology for harvesting. So you help them to harvest and take your own and give them their own. So with that solves the problem entirely. But you talk, of course, about warehouse receipt system, which is what I think now that Africa actually need. Because again, most commercial banks will tell you that it's difficult to finance agriculture, and it's true. Okay, so what do? You can develop what is called the warehouse receipt system. Okay, it's not too different from the outgrower scheme, but this time around, at the point of harvest, the farmers are bringing in their outputs to submit to the warehouse. So at the warehouse, you now give them a receipt to go to an agreed bank to say, okay, the farmer has deposited about 200,000 worth of goods. So once that is being done, so the next thing for you to do is for the bank to release 50% of that money to the farm, to the farmer. So that means he has quick money. Because if you don't do that, the middleman will come and try to rip the farmer off.
To poach them.
Yeah. So the warehouse system will help the farmer to add value. Then if that commodity stays in the warehouse and appreciates, and will now sell at a higher value later, then the farmer also gets a benefit from there. So right now in Africa, we must begin to look at warehouse receipt system. Europe, America has gone past the era of warehouse receipt system. But in Africa right now, what we need to do is that we need to get a bank who understands that to start implementing immediately. With that, I can guarantee that output will be available. Paddy, maize, sorghum will be available. And once that is available, you are now faced with another challenge. Now you have large quantity of paddy. you have large quantity of maize, then you now start thinking about value addition. How do I add value? Then that's where processing technology now comes in. So before you know, we are solving the problem of the world. And you know, the new frontier.
Yes.
Okay, so what that means is that if we're able to harmonize, if we're able to galvanize what we have now, then the whole world will look up to us.
Nigeria will become the market of the world. Now, as we wrap up, you talked about the processing and all that. I understand that storage is also a big problem in the whole value chain. Whose responsibility is it to provide this kind of storage, and what do you think needs to be done to see that we overcome this problem?
Yeah, now you're talking about post-harvest losses, which is, I mean, just imagine you're into tomato production. Tomato, highly perishable commodity. I knew about a farmer in India that killed himself when he had excess production and there was no market. It's a major, huge challenge. And that's why advanced economy now talk about what is called an off-taker. Okay? Before you start production, you must know at the end who is going to buy. And not just about talking about who is going to buy, you're going to sign an agreement. You're going to sign an agreement to say you are going to buy at this price. But the preferred price is always the prevailing market price.
Yeah.
So once you have that tidy up, the guy who is buying knows how to store. Like I told you, we don't keep our rice for long. We are also an off-taker. What that means that we sign agreement with the farmer to off-take whatever they are buying, and we process immediately. And the market is ready. 200 million people that must eat rice every day.
Wonderful. Do you have any message for our viewers, entrepreneurs that are just going into the business, either rice production or any other sector?
Yeah, I want to tell you that you should not be in haste. Where a lot of our entrepreneurs miss it is that today they won't start making money. I will tell you, with Seedfest, the planning started like 5 years ago. Okay, we had to perfect the production aspect of it, working with the farmers. I mean, the first set of rice that we produced, we were not milling because our milling plant was not ready. We just wanted to make sure that the raw material, which is paddy, is available. So once we solved that problem, then we brought in the machines. So once the machines are in, then we're now making money real time. Because again, because of the freshness and the tastefulness of our rice, every supermarket wants to have our rice in stock. And I want to tell you today, watch out for Seedfest rice. Okay, it's going to be become a global player, because again, there's another dimension to what we are doing. We're talking about local production, but very soon we're going to be doing organic rice for specialized markets across the world. So for you as an upcoming entrepreneur, please take it easy, focus, specialize before you diversify.
Calm down. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
joining us. Hope to see you again.
Thank you.